Happy Friday, everyone. This is John Kogan, the CEO of Proformative, the online community for corporate finance, accounting, treasury, and related professionals. I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar entitled How to Win Your Compensation Negotiation. A well-developed understanding and approach to the compensation negotiation process will not only gain you a larger compensation package, it will also spare you from rejecting the opportunities that look too small but could blossom to fit you. Effectively managing the compensation negotiation process is more complex than most people realize. Saying the wrong thing at the wrong time about compensation can derail your ability to get what you are worth and even potentially cost a job opportunity if you ask for too much at the wrong time during the process. Discover the right things to say regarding your desired comp package and when to say them during the interview process during this morning's webinar. A few notes on today's event. A link to today's presentation and a link to the video of this webinar will be sent out to all attendees within 24 hours, and the presentation is already posted at proformative.com/resources. So if you want to follow along, take notes, etc., that's available for download right now. To those who would like CPE credits, you will need to answer all 3 polling questions that we will ask during this event. And you should have pre-registered for CPE credit. If you neglected to do that or have any questions about CPE credits, please contact Chris Brower. You can see her email address right there. We would like this to be an interactive experience, so please do ask questions during today's event. If you take a quick look at your GoToWebinar control panel, you'll see a little section there entitled Questions. You might have to hit the plus next to it to expand the box. But please feel free to ask questions at any point in time. What we're going to do is hear a presentation initially from our presenter, who I'll introduce in a minute. And then when we're done with that presentation, we will move into questions from the attendees today. So please feel free to ask questions at any time. Finally, we will ask you to take a short survey today regarding our webinar. It comes at the end of the webinar. After we shut everything down, you'll be presented with a survey. It's all simple multiple choice stuff. It takes about 60 seconds. We greatly appreciate you giving us that extra minute because it allows us to know what we're doing well, so we can do more of that, and what we're not doing well, so we can change our ways. We always like to know how we can do better the next time, and that survey is a key part of helping us improve. So we greatly appreciate that extra time. Plus, during that survey, if you would like us to connect you with today's speaker, Moshe Kravtiz, you can indicate that during the survey with a click of a mouse. We make it very simple, and then we're more than happy to connect you directly with Moshe. So those are the quick notes on today's event. We have a number of learning objectives today. The bottom line is we want to really flesh out this idea of salary negotiations, especially during the interviewing process, how you should think about salary negotiations, how you prepare to have those discussions, and a number of great strategies for dealing with these issues. So we're greatly looking forward to hearing more about that today. A quick final note, welcome to Proformative. To those who may be new to Proformative, we're the largest and fastest growing online resource for senior corporate finance, treasury, accounting, and related professionals. We welcome everyone to our online community, which is completely ad-free and noise-free. And it's a great peer-to-peer community of finance, accounting, treasury, and related folks at all levels of the enterprise. And with that, finally, we get to our speaker today, who I'm very happy to introduce, Moshe Kravtiz, who's the Director of Finance at IDT Telecom and a certified career coach with the 5 O'Clock Club. Moshe guides his clients in selecting appropriate targets and in marketing themselves effectively. His experience includes many years as an educator, actuarial positions at CNA Insurance and Buck Consultants, and his position as Director of FP&A at a major telecom and energy company. Everywhere he works, Moshe demonstrates a passion for helping others to improve their skills and efficiency. With this passion, he helps job seekers to hone their job search skills, enabling them to land offers more quickly and at higher salaries. Moshe, it's a great pleasure to have you back. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay, thanks, John. It's always nice to be here with you, with Proformative, with our esteemed audience of finance professionals. And let's get to the next slide. Okay. The most successful salary negotiation is when you never mention the salary. Now, it doesn't mean that it's effortless. There's definitely effort involved, but it has to be the correct effort at the right place. In fact, it begins when you build your resume. Your resume should be built so that a hiring manager will look and see your value. Besides seeing specifically what you've accomplished, he'll see there what you could do for him and how much you're worth. He'll pick up a resume and say, whether he says it out loud to himself or it registers in the back of his mind, he'll see, here's a CFO who's worth $150,000. Here's a CFO who's worth 2. The CFO is worth 1. It should say that on the resume. You don't put the dollar sign, but in presenting your accomplishments, in presenting your experience, that's what a person can see. So that is where the process really begins. But if the longer you can delay or never even mention the salary, the more successful your salary negotiation is. In terms of putting the information there on the resume, I have a little note hanging by my desk. I try to follow it in my work in financial planning, and I give it to my colleagues, that the job is to present the right data to the right people at the right time. So I try to follow that in finance work. And I think that's applicable also in job seeking. You want to get the right information on that resume in front of the right people who are at a level who can hire you and at the right time in the hiring process. So the right information includes the stuff that will enable them to see what value you might have to that organization. That is where your salary negotiation begins. Now you might ask, if you're saying, I want to delay the process, delay the discussion of salary, what if they ask me, how much are you currently earning? That's a common question. Or they have maybe more polite ways of asking, how much do you need? What are your salary expectations? What do I answer? How do I respond? So again, the goal is to delay as much as possible any discussion of salary. What do you respond if this question is presented to you? It depends who asked you the question. Are you filling out an online application? Maybe you're in the company writing on a paper that you were handed by HR. Maybe you're on the phone with an HR screener asking you initial questions. Maybe you're sitting face-to-face with the hiring manager. So it depends who asked the question, what your strategy should be for how to attempt to delay discussion of salary as much as possible. You might try for a paper or online application, just leave it blank. Submit it without any number in that box. Online, it may not go through. You'll need a different strategy. Hard copy, it might have asterisk, right? You must fill in this space. Don't skip this space. Okay. So what? So what? It's a free country. You don't have to fill in that space. It reminds me when I was a kid, the mattress used to have a tag on it. It says, do not remove this tag under penalty of the law. I was scared to tear off that tag. Decades later, I realized that they weren't talking to me. So if it says, oh, you must fill this in, maybe. Like with most other things in the job search process, there's not a right answer and a wrong answer. You think, how should I play this? They're asking for my salary expectation on this paper. How should I play this? I could leave it blank. You have to know the organization. If it's a real buttoned-up organization, and if there's a blank over there, they'll toss your resume. They'll toss your application. Okay, you have to know. Is that a type of organization you want to be in? If it is, you have to know how to work within that type of a structure. How do I want to play it? What if it's spoken? On the phone, in person with the hiring manager. So then you can talk to the person and you see their face, how they react. And you say your mantra, salary will not be an issue. And you change the subject and you get back to discuss the position. Right? And the more that you have the sense that salary might be an issue in this position, the more sincere and compelling you have to be when you say, the salary will not be an issue. You're a fair company. I'm a fair person. I'm sure we'll come to some fair agreement. I'm sure you'll make an offer which is competitive, which is commensurate with the position. Salary won't be an issue. Make it as brief as you can and get back to discuss the responsibilities of the job. So maybe you're worried if I don't discuss salary, so how do I know they're going to offer me enough money? Will it be fair, be competitive? There's money left on the table. Will I get the best possible offer? Why should they offer it to me if I didn't even discuss it, didn't negotiate with them? Okay, valid. And it's not like we're not addressing the issue. Just we have to address it, like we said, the right data to the right person at the right time. And that right data is discuss the position and not the salary. As the responsibilities of the position will grow, automatically the price tag on that job goes up without discussing the numbers.
Okay, let me jump in real quick, Moshe. We've got the first of our three polling questions. Once again, this is for folks who are here for CPE credit, but even if you're not, would love to see what everyone's experience has been on this front. What we'll do is turn these polling questions around so we can all see and discuss what folks' experience has been. So this is the first of three. I'll leave this open for about 45 seconds here. Also like to remind folks to ask questions at any point in time, and we will get around to those questions when we're done with the presentation for Moshe, which is what we lead our webinar with. I'll go ahead and leave this open for another 5 seconds. Almost everyone has voted at this point. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and close that down, and Moshe, back to you.
Okay. So this is the, oops, 2 slides. This is the first of the 4 steps of salary negotiation process, is discuss the position. I'll tell you 2 stories which will illustrate this. Some of my favorite stories here. Bob was a paper burster. Some of us remember back in the mid-1900s, there used to be a thing called a computer, mainframe computer. We used to submit a deck of punch cards and come back the next day. Or maybe they'd have somebody deliver these huge stacks of computer printout paper, light green and dark green, with holes along the side and perforations between every page. And Bob was a paper burster. He used to tear the papers in between jobs, tear them off of the printer. And he'd been doing this for 25 years. He was very experienced. And he was applying for a job. And he let them know that he had all this experience. And he differentiated himself from probably all of his competition by indicating to them that he not only was very efficient, expert at bursting the paper, but when the machine broke down, he could fix the machine. Ooh, that's a lot of value. That's tremendous value. That saves downtime. Imagine all his clients, internal clients, waiting for their reports. It saves downtime. That's really valuable to the company. It saves them bringing in a vendor, an outside vendor for maintenance. Saves them time, it saves them money. Furthermore, he let them know that he's very good at training other people. In additional value, well, obviously, the price tag on his position went up without even discussing numbers, without discussing salary, because he discussed the position. They saw what he could do for them. They saw the value that he comes with, and they offer more money. Another example, Mike was brought in for a finance position. The hiring manager had in mind, he was looking for somebody to punch in the numbers to spreadsheets. Not much more than data entry. Well, in the course of meeting and interviewing and discussing, they saw that Mike could produce the spreadsheets. He could design the spreadsheets. He could optimize the spreadsheets. Whoa, that was great value. What happened was they got rid of that rec for an entry level. They had to make a new rec from HR for a middle level person. Again, they didn't have to discuss the numbers. Automatically, the numbers went up as they discussed the position, the responsibilities, the value which Mike would add to the company. So that's the idea. Discuss the position, and automatically the value of the position will increase. Now, the next step is that if you don't outshine and outlast the competition, so salary negotiation is moot. It could be the best number, but it's times 0. So you have to outshine and outlast the competition. We spoke a lot about this in a recent webinar here on Proformative about interviewing, and we'll just touch on it now, that one of the important things is to know, how do I rank up against your picture of the ideal candidate and against the other candidates? So you ask. If you don't ask, you don't know. Say, how would you describe the ideal candidate for this position? How do I match up against that ideal candidate? Are there essential skills that appear to be lacking in my resume? Maybe I have them and wasn't successful in conveying them to you. Maybe it's a skill I need to acquire. How do the other candidates rank up? How many people have you met with? How many more do you plan to meet with? How do they compare to your ideal candidate? Did they exhibit any skills that you see, that you feel are extremely important for this position? Skills that you wish I would have also? Skills that you don't see in me, maybe I do it, I can show it to you. Do you have any objections to hiring a person like myself, a person with my background? These are the type of things that you need to find out in order to outshine and outlast the competition. Okay, so you did that, and now you get the offer. Okay, you get the offer. So now you can discuss the salary, right? I'll tell you two things, two stories over here. Bessie, her resume was submitted along with a ton of resumes. Hiring manager had contacted a recruiter and said, I'm looking for an accounting manager. Can you give me some candidates? Oh, did she get candidates? A pile of resumes. So you know probably the kind of effort it takes, time, effort, go through the stack of resumes, pick out those people you want to bring in. You go through the resume process. You go through interview process. You have your last few candidates perhaps meet with a few other people. Finally, Bessie was chosen. And when the hiring manager had asked the recruiter, please send me candidates, it was made very clear that we're willing to pay $50,000 for this position. Okay? Send me candidates who would happily accept the position for $50,000. Okay. Went through the whole process, time, effort, invested, thought, emotion. We got the right person. Bessie, we're pleased, Bessie, to offer you a position as accounting manager for $50,000. Bessie smiles, said, thank you very much. I would be very happy to work here, but I cannot accept the position for $50,000. I'm making more than that now. Hiring manager says, well, it says right here on the top of your resume, $50,000. And Bessie knew that it said that because when she was sitting opposite the hiring manager during her interview, she saw the resume on the desk, and she saw that it said $50,000. But she had not written that. No one had asked her about $50,000, and she had not told anybody $50,000. So she replied very honestly. She said, I didn't write that. The short of it is that at this point, they had so much invested, and obviously Bessie was superior to all the other candidates. She was worth more, and she got it. She got 55. What if she had opened up her mouth? She was smart to keep her mouth shut when she saw that 50. That was not the right time or the right place or the right person to tell that I didn't write that 50. What's that all about? That's the way you lose opportunities. So you have to know when to speak up and when not to speak up. And Bessie had her timing straight. Yeah, she gave the right data to the right person at the right time after the offer. After the offer is when we begin to discuss anything about salary in particulars. Now, here's a great story. I love this story. And here's finally one which is more in the realm of our audience today. Kate, back in 1980, was earning $60,000, which if you just project forward at 4% interest comes to $200,000. Okay, if you're feeling too high, it's still in the ballpark. It was a nice job. She had an MBA, and she was experienced at turning around troubled companies. Okay? So Kate gets a call from a recruiter. Now, the reason I love this story is because there's so many concepts in the salary negotiation process, in the job search process, that we learn from this story. Kate gets a call from a recruiter. Yeah? The recruiter is looking for a supervisor. Okay? So Kate asks some questions. Supervising what? Oh, this company needs somebody to supervise the secretaries. Okay. What type of a company is it? It's an advertising agency. Okay. Kate asks the recruiter more questions. Now, what would most people do in responding to such a call? Say, leave me alone, don't bother me. Call me back when you have something that's at my level. But Kate understood that what's the role, for me as a job seeker, what is the role of a recruiter? It's to get me a meeting. It's not to get me a job. It's to get me a meeting. So here was a recruiter offering Kate a meeting. And by pursuing the questioning with the recruiter, asking a little more about the company, Kate was able to discern already, even from the little information that the recruiter had, she saw that something was awry in this company. It was a troubled company and needed to be turned around. And Kate knew that that was her strength. She knew some more things also, as we'll see. So Kate said, yes, I would like to meet with the president of the company. The recruiter said, what? You would? Okay. So the meeting was arranged. Great. So Kate comes in and meets with the president of the company. Remember now, it's ostensibly for the position as supervisor of the secretaries, right? Would Kate accept such a position? Of course not. Not interested at all. But how will I play this, right? How should I play this? How can I use this to my advantage? How should I play this? So, and another thing was, Kate says that she likes very much when she's in a hiring situation where she knows about her competition. Yeah, we just mentioned that. Outshine your competition. So here she knows. Who is her competition? People vying for a position to be the supervisor of the secretaries. Okay. So they're nowhere near her caliber, her level. So she should have an easy time to leave her competition behind her in the dust. So she comes to the meeting, and she starts to ask the president, could you explain to me how your company is organized? What are your largest accounts? What's the margin on those accounts? Do you have, and this is in the 80s, remember, do you have a cost accounting system? Could I see your computer system? She suggested, you know, certain types of reporting would give you much better profit control. The president's eyes are getting open wider and wider. Wow. Wow. Here's somebody who can bring tremendous value to his company. And she did. She left the other candidates behind her in the dust. The other position had nothing to do with her. A new position, which often is the case, either a job rec is revised or replaced or created. A job position can be created when you see value, you see skills that will benefit your company. She created a position for herself, or they created it for her when she came in. Again, she got a meeting from the recruiter, right, at the ostensible prospect of becoming in as the supervisor of the secretaries. She didn't say, oh, it's not for me. She said, okay, I'll accept the meeting. And in the meeting, drilling in, discussing the profitability of the company, they were able to see her skills, her value, and she got the offer. Now, there's more to learn from here. In her negotiation, after receiving the offer, there are some things that she asked for. She asked for a title, VP of Operations. She asked to chair the executive committee, so she'll be in a position that she's able to accomplish what she needs to in turning around the company. She asked for easy access to the CPA firm, which will be her partner in this turnaround. So another concept that we learn is that in salary negotiation, salary is not the only issue to discuss, right? You want to discuss things that will be necessary for you to help you accomplish what you have to. That might be in terms of maybe approval, signing authority to approve invoices up to a certain dollar amount, or to approve projects up to a certain dollar amount, to make sure that things flow. There's not snags, there's not red tape slowing things down. You might ask for a certain number of dedicated IT staff to your department. Again, so things can flow smoothly. You're not getting stuck vying for resources. You might ask for ability to hire perhaps key staff people, create new positions if that's necessary to accomplish what you have to. So this also in salary negotiation is important. It's not your direct salary, but it's the things that you need in order to accomplish what you have to. Another thing is some job changers might have in mind that I'd like to branch out and begin to get experience in areas where I've not had much contact yet. Let's say somebody's taking a position and he feels, based on his long-term, short-term, long-term career goals, that branching into M&A, for example, is a good thing for him to do. He doesn't have much experience. He can negotiate in his salary negotiation. We call it salary, but we see it's more than just salary negotiation. Negotiate that he should have direct involvement, obviously slow at first, but bring him up to speed in M&A, or maybe managing FX risk, or whatever it might be, right? But if they agree, you need more than that, because sometimes they can forget about it. More than an agreement. Maybe write it down, and even better than that, work out a practical schedule that day one I'll be spending 5% of my time on this other area, on M&A. And at the end of 6 months, end of a year, 10%, 20%, but built in so it doesn't get forgotten, so that you're assured of getting that what you negotiated for. Okay, so the salary negotiation extends to many more things than just the benefit package. Okay, so Kate asked for all these things, and this is what she got. So she was able to accomplish what she had to. Now, we discussed the position that grew the value. We knew how we compared to the other candidates, and we beat them out. We got the offer. Now it's time to negotiate actually the compensation package. So you need to do your homework before you have this conversation with your hiring manager. You have to know how much you're worth. Yeah? How much can you reasonably ask for in this industry, in this geography, in this company, in this economic climate? So where do you find out? Many people are familiar with the websites like salary.com, a whole bunch of these. Okay, it's a starting point. It is a starting point. But where do they get the information from? Surveys, right? They send out surveys, tell us what your salary is, so they get back answers that people put down. Did people tell you the right thing? They put down what they think the salary is, what they hope the salary is, what they wish the salary would be, what they want you to think the salary is. Okay, is it accurate? Maybe. Can you get a sense of greater accuracy? I'll tell you an example. Some of you may be aware that there was a hurricane recently on the East Coast. So we didn't get it too bad, but we had about 11 trees down on our property, fortunately, and they were my neighbor's trees. Fortunately, very little damage was done, just a little dent to the gutter. But my car was under a whole bunch of trees, and the insurance company decided that it cost more to fix than it was worth, so they declared it a total loss, and they took some outside vendor to determine the fair price to pay me for the car. So what did this vendor do? They sent me the details. they found comparables. 7 cars being sold by retail car dealers within 50 miles radius of my house, and they took an average. Comparables. So a job seeker can do the same. Look at comparables. Okay? Where do you find comparables for a job? Well, one thing you could do is look at ads. True, most jobs, especially at high levels, are not posted, but some are, and there are many jobs that do get posted, and many of them are posted with a salary or salary range, and it's one place to look for, to some degree, that can be regarded as a comparable. There's more you could do. You could look at salaries, actual salaries that are published. Look in 10Ks. If you're at a level of a position where corporations are publishing the salary for their employees, their senior employees at that level, so that's about as actual, I think, as you could find published. Now, in addition to that, here's where you could use your network. If you have friends or if you have networking contacts who are in a position high enough, let's say, to be hiring you at the position where you want to come in. People who should be aware of what the salaries are in the companies where they work, in the companies that they know of. That's another resource to find out comparables, to find out actuals. And in fact, you could take your resume and show it to your friends, show it to your networking contacts, and ask them, what does this say? How much is this position worth? And another thing is, you can see if you're reflecting all of your true value, right? It may be useful exercise just for that, help you bring your resume up so that you can get all the right data, all the right value reflected in that resume, and at the same time find out from them what a person with your skills should be worth in various markets. Now, in determining the value of your entire package, don't stop just by salary or salary and bonus. All of these things that you see listed here are part of the package. Why is that important? Because, I'll give you an example and you'll see. One candidate was offered a position. The company liked her very much. She was very happy with the company, very eager to work there, but they were kind of stuck on base salary. It wasn't quite where she needed it to be. So, if you'll be a bit flexible and a bit creative, this candidate happened to be interested, very interested, in taking a few training programs. Each one was a few $1,000s, and the company was delighted to have that option. They said, you know, we've maxed out what we could do in terms of the salary budget, but we have a training budget, right? A few $1,000s out of the training budget, no problem. Everybody was happy, right? You'd be flexible, you'd be creative, and you try to accomplish so that it's good for everybody. So all of these are items that you should go through, do your homework beforehand to know what is the value that you're looking for in your total package, so that if you come short on one line item, you can negotiate and see if they can help make it up for you, where they may have more leeway in one of these other items. These benefit items on the right side, in years past, it used to be kind of a given that you will receive pretty complete medical coverage and all that. But today, as companies are cutting back and back and back, it might be significant to compare the value of the benefits package by one company versus the other. Some other ideas where you can be creative or inquire. You see over here, base salary. I had once when I was made an offer by a company. They wanted to bring me on. They liked me. I liked them very much. It was a good match. And this particular company, a large company, had a pretty formal, had a formula to determine what the base salary could be based on X credentials and X years of experience, etc. So the base capped out below what I needed to start with, and even how much they wanted to offer. So they came up with, they said, Oh, how about a sign-on bonus? Okay, that was enough. It brought us up to the right place, and that worked for year 1. By year 2, already an annual bonus we put in place, so it worked. A little bit of flexibility, a little creativity. Another thing that you could do here is even if you end up with going through all your items, you're still a little low. But let's say they have a 12-month review. If you can negotiate and say, let's make it after 6 months, after 3 months, right? You'll see how I'm catching on. You'll see the value I'm bringing to the company. And at that point, let's have a serious reevaluation with the option for a serious boost in salary. That's another option. SERP, you may want to find out if your company that's offering you has a SERP plan for executives. How do you get in? Is it automatic? Do you have to be specially chosen? That's another option. So be creative and be flexible. And last but not least, you see in the bottom of the page over there, we'll discuss it a little more soon. Don't fail to discuss severance. Do discuss severance before you finally close your offer, and we'll get back to that soon. So as we said, you go one at a time. You come in, you do your homework, you know how much you're expecting in a total package. Go one at a time, begin with the base salary, go through all the items, and approach the negotiation not like I'm trying to squeeze all that I can out of them. Approach it that we're on the same team, right? We're working together. It's the same company. They want me to sign on. I want to sign on. I want to work for them. Let's approach this together and see how can we make it work. A win-win mentality. I'll tell you a great incident, an experiment that was done that brings out this point very poignantly. There was the dime experiment is an experiment which is run to test out an assumption that's used in game theory. Game theory, if you've never heard of it, sounds trivial, but it's a complex mathematical system which is used in developing computer programs that are used in making decisions in cases of political conflict, military conflict, in case of business negotiations, business decisions. So the experiment goes like this. Two contestants are chosen, Mr. A and Mr. B. They're seated at a table facing each other, and the tester, the experimenter, puts a dime on the table in front of them. Says, Mr. A, you go first. You can take the dime, and then the game is over. The experiment is over. Or you have an option to pass. Then the experimenter adds another dime to the pile, and Mr. B has a chance. Take the 20 cents, and the game is over, or he could pass, and they'll add another dime. Both contestants know that the limit is $1. No more dimes after that. So the theory is called fallback. It's like reverse logic, right? If you'd be playing chess and you could think ahead all the moves and then you think back, therefore, how should I move next? So it assumes that people make their choices based on this fallback type of analysis. And over here, what would that mean? Mr. A thinks to himself, if there's $1 on the table, what happens? B takes it, and the game is over, and I got nothing. So I better take it by 90 cents. But he thinks further. B knows that, so he's going to take it by 80 cents. So I better take it by 70. So I'm all the way down till this fallback assumption would predict that A takes the 10 cents, the first dime, and ends the game. So in practice, not all experiments ended like that. In fact, this one that I'm telling you about ended very differently. It got to $1. And B took the $1 and very gladly shared 50 cents. He gave 50 cents to Mr. A. The experimenter asked him, did you conspire? Did you work this plan out before? No. Are you relatives? No. Are you friends? They said, well, we were strangers, but now we are friends. Yeah? What an attitude. That's the attitude you want to go in with when you go to negotiate your salary. Yeah? A win-win attitude. We're on the same team. Let's make this work together, line item by line item. Okay, that's as high as your formula allows you to go on salary. What about a bonus? What about other benefits? What about training? Let's work together. Be flexible, be creative, and maintain a win-win attitude throughout the process. We were strangers, now we were friends. What a beautiful way to begin your relationship when you sign on with a company, that you come out of the salary negotiation both saying, we were strangers, now we were friends. Right? Appreciate the mutual respect you have for each other, the concern you have that it has to be good for everybody. Okay. We said we discuss severance. The last thing you discuss, right, just before you shake hands and smile and leave, you say, severance. Now, say, oh, severance, you didn't even get there yet. You're discussing about leaving, getting kicked out. What if they don't like me? What if I don't like you? No, not like that. You make it very impersonal. You say, you know, sometimes there's buyouts. There's a merger, acquisition, so, or even within a company, there's change of management. So you make it very impersonal. That in case of change of management or change of ownership, I need to be protected. So let's put down something right now that would protect me in case of such an occurrence. Some companies may have a very well-defined policy. They give you so much severance for so many months, so many years. But like much of the compensation package, the more senior the position, the more flexibility there is in what you're able to negotiate. So, to sum up, the takeaways is the first rule of thumb is don't discuss the salary, discuss the position, and the salary will grow. Now, if you get to the end and you have the offer, or you're discussing the numbers, and you see that the base, the whole package, it's still really not where you need it. So you could iterate back, right? Maybe you didn't do enough about discussing the position. Iterate back on responsibilities that you could undertake, value that you could add to the company. Maybe there's something that you didn't convey well, and you can go back, reiterate, and thereby, with the offer, discuss the position. Discuss the position, not the salary. Next rule of thumb is don't discuss the salary. Delay it. Yeah? If they ask you, say, salary won't be an issue. Right? The more you think it might, you say confidently, salary will not be an issue. Let's discuss the position. And finally, have a win-win attitude that you want to conclude this, both feeling that we were strangers and now we are friends. So we wish you success in all of these concepts and in all of your endeavors.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you very
John?
much, Moshe. Yep. Let's go ahead, and we've got 2 more polling questions, which will pop out there quickly, and then we'll get into our Q&A. So I just dropped the first polling question out. Let's give folks 30 seconds to answer this. I'll remind you that this is a great time to ask questions as we go, and we will get to those questions as soon as we're done taking the polling questions, plus we'll take a quick look at the results of these polls so everyone can see what their peers are experiencing here. I'll go ahead and leave this poll open for another 5 seconds, and then we'll move into the next. All right, I'm going to close this poll, and finally we'll go to our third polling question. I'll also take this moment to remind folks just very quickly that after today's webinar, you will be prompted to take a brief survey. We greatly appreciate your giving 60 seconds it'll take to fill that survey out. It gives us great feedback on what we can be doing better the next time, and also if you have a desire to be connected directly with Moshe Kravtiz, our speaker today, that's a click of a mouse in the survey, and I'd be more than happy to connect you with him. Okay, I'll leave that open for another 5 seconds, then we'll take a quick look. And done. All right, let's go ahead and jump back. We'll go through these real quickly. I'll ask Moshe to weigh in on these as they pop up. So how frequently are you asked about salary during an interview? That's 75% frequently or all the time. So Moshe, this sounds like something that's from experience.
Quite expected. You're right on the mark.
Yeah, very difficult to avoid. So when you get someone, be it an HR manager, which is frequently the person tasked with asking this, or maybe it's the hiring manager, during the process, during, let's say, this is round one, what strategies would you use for, politely demurring or deferring? How would we keep it really positive, as you say, and keep it focused on the job when they're asking you a direct question?
Well, you're asking me that question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I just gave a whole webinar on that. You smile. Smile, you're right. You make a good point, right? Smile, keep it friendly, and I'm sure it won't be an issue. Then I'm sure you'll give me a competitive offer and go back and discuss the position. And if it's hard to say, practice it. Practice saying this in the mirror. Practice it saying it with your friends, with your coworkers, and it gets easier to say. Also, we don't wish it on the people, but just like public speaking, the more you do it, the better you get. Interviewing, it gets improved with practice. We don't wish it on people. You shouldn't have to go through it too much, but it does improve with practice. It gets easier. And take notes, debrief after the interview, and make notes to yourself what you could do better the next time.
I think that tip there about practicing, either in the mirror or with a friend, is incredibly valuable, and I bet most people don't do that. What are you really going to do? What are you really going to say? Well, practice what you're really going to say in real life. I think that's actually a valuable tip right there. Next polling question. When asked about salary during an interview, I feel like I must give a number. I think this is a trap that you were talking about avoiding, but I think a lot of us feel obligated. Can we practice our way out of that sense of obligation?
Yeah, I'd like to see if we could give this again after our whole talk now, if some people feel less obligated, because you do have a social obligation to respond, but you don't even need to respond exactly to the question the way that he asked it. Again, like the whole process. There's no right answer. How should I play this? How should I play this? One time, I got a phone call from a hiring manager, and he was being very nice. He wanted to just spare his time and mine in case he didn't want to waste their time. What kind of a salary range are you looking for? So I said a range. I had to answer him something. But so I said a range. I said, between X and 2X. Right? Big numbers. Well, it could be, and he wasn't insulted, right, by the fact that I did that. I answered him, but was really non-committal in giving such a huge range. The problem was that the bottom of my range was way out of his range. So I had to double back when I found out. Fortunately, he didn't just hang up the phone. And I said, well, I'm changing fields, and I'd like to go and speak to you anyway, which I did. So we fixed that up. But that's one option, how you're able to answer but not really answer. Give an answer which is addressing his question but not so committal.
And that's interesting, the thought of going back afterwards. If you see it going sideways on you, because even if you were answering strategically, the ability to just keep the conversation going and have the discussion, that's what allows you to build all of your other value and see whether there's something there. Let's go ahead and pop up the third and final polling question, and then we'll get to the Q&A piece here. This is interesting. So this question was, have you ever lost a job offer due to compensation issues? And about a third say yes, they have, and 2/3 have not. So Moshe, when it comes right down to it and you get that job offer, what's your strategy for coming in with kind of knowing your own position? So we spent some time during today's presentation talking about how you can find out what someone else thinks a position might be worth, what the comps are, and what the company might think it's worth. What about what you, the individual, think it's worth, which then establishes whether you're going to have a place in between where both sides are happy. What kind of honest conversation do you need to have with yourself going into these discussions?
Yeah, the important question, touching on a lot of things. Besides the dollar amount of the entire package, there's also all the other factors involved, right? Commuting to this place is going to be easier than commuting to the other place. Boy, I met the people over here. It would be great to work with those people. Many other subjective factors, all of which have to be figured in along with the value of the compensation package. And I should go in knowing, based on all those parameters, based on all the factors, how much, what's my, like any negotiation, what am I willing to settle for, right? I'd like to get, right, X, but my minimum is Y, right? Below that, there's nothing to talk about. I know I won't accept it. So that's part of the homework of going in. Another thing is I would like to add to this, yes, 30%, and add to that, I mean, I can't tell you how much, but emphasize the point that we made that people might lose job opportunities which didn't yet grow into opportunities suitable for them, but they might have. Like the story there with Kate, that she was offered the job of a supervisor, and she accepted it because that was an opportunity to have a discussion. She didn't say, well, that's below my job level, not for me, call me back when you have something. So there also, we want to be sure not to lose opportunities that could grow into something which could be good for us.
Okay, let's move into the questions here, and we've got a whole pile of them, so we'll see if we can make our way through. Is it a bad thing if you as a candidate go all the way through a process and in the final analysis you in fact cannot reach agreement on the numbers and they're only willing to go so high, and that's below what you can accept, and perhaps you move on. But what's your take on that? Is that a horrible waste of time, or is that a great exercise to have gone through?
Every experience like this, like we just said, it's learning. You get better, and when you debrief, you could learn over here from this experience. Maybe there's something that you could do different next time that will get you over that hurdle.
Okay. Let's go back to that good old application and its request for stating your current salary. Can you just talk about the best ways to avoid either avoid stating the salary on that application or making that process work for you so that you can continue having a conversation with the company and build your value, et cetera?
Oh, you mean like on a written application or an online application? Yeah, so online, a person could do research. I meant to do it. I haven't done it yet, but a person could do research. Either speak to the developers who have written this software or to the end users who use the software. And it could be that there's different versions that work differently. But you want to know what happens if I put in if I leave it blank, or if I put in a 1 or a million or something, right? Maybe the software ranks it. And it compares it to preset parameters which HR puts in, and if I'm out of the range, they just throw me out. I don't know if that happens. If that happens, so that's not a worthwhile approach. Maybe they rank it against other candidates. Maybe they don't look at it. It's just there, for reference in case they would need the information. If that's the case, so then I can put it in and worry about it later. So some research could make us more knowledgeable and know better how to treat these online things. It's facts which are possible to do research and find out how it works.
Now, is it possible to turn that question around, Moshe? So let's say the HR manager running the process for the hiring manager has you, sits you down, says, what's your current salary? Is it actually okay to try and turn the tables and ask them what the range is for the position?
It is okay, but again, I would rather delay the whole discussion because, that answer is going to come based on what are their current assessment of my value, and I want to first maximize that, show all the value that I have, again, discuss the position. It could be, that it gives me a read, see where I'm up to, right? Mm-hmm. If they tell me a range and I don't that is the right range. So, okay, I can move on to the next step. We discussed the position enough.
Right.
Another interesting point, there was a candidate who was offered and accepted a job in those years. It was for $160,000, and that was well above what he was worth. So that's also not good, because he didn't last there very long, right? They know when they're paying $160, they want to get value, and he was a good guy, just not yet. You know, it would be a few years till he's able to give that kind of value, and he didn't last very long. So that also gives you a sense of what value they're perceiving over there, and it could be in your best interest somehow gently to you should both be on the same page, know what value is being offered and being received.
Okay. Quick question about negotiating change in management clause in a severance package. How far up the chain can you legitimately go in defining management for change in management? In other words, if you're the CFO, then maybe the CEO's position is the management position you're talking about changing, or if there's a change in that position that affects your role. What if you're 2 levels down, 3 levels down? And the change in management isn't the CEO, but someone a step or 2 below them. What's sort of the right number of steps to focus on when it comes to change in management and how that might affect your severance?
The less specific it is, it's like two-edged. It goes both ways, right? And you don't want to leave things undefined, right? That's the whole purpose of discussing it now. Discussing severance after the fact is much stickier. You like to get it clean now. But I would initially think that if it's, and even this which we're saying, we're calling it change of management, change of ownership. We're doing that to be polite, right? And it means in case of termination, so I'm going to get 6 months, I'm going to get a year of severance. I wouldn't want to link the termination to any job level. Oh, because he didn't like me. He didn't like me. This position changed. That was just a way of broaching the subject, maybe even putting it down. But as I said, it's the polite way of meaning that if the person is let go, then he gets a severance. If you can do it like that, that's the cleanest way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We have a question here for someone who's in the education field, and it seems like this requirement to enter current and past salary information, this request during the interviewing process is more of a requirement than anything else, and more or less expected. So. Are there differences in the way certain industries handle these things, which would color how you handle these conversations?
What are you saying? You have to submit written
if it's
salary
really, yeah, I mean, if within a particular industry or position, it really is required to answer these questions straight up. I mean, do you need to know that going in? How do you figure that sort of thing out? Because it can be very difficult, if not impossible, for a single individual to buck the trend of decades for hundreds of thousands of folks. You're like, yep, okay, we're not going to win that argument. Then what's the strategy?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you have to just go along with it. I can't tell you industry to industry, but there definitely is. As we saw on these surveys, there is a variety of approaches from the point of view of different employers, and for sure, some are much more formalized than others. So it could even sometimes be employer-specific. And we mentioned in regard to that many things in this salary negotiation process are situation-specific, unique to this individual, unique to this employer, unique to this hiring situation, more so probably than anything else in the job search process. The salary negotiation is very individual-specific. But that being said, if it is required to put down an answer, so I think it's fair to speak, let's say, in round numbers and include the value of my entire compensation package.
So include those ideas, suggest that conversation, that discussion, maybe if there's any place to add commentary or anything like that, and in the application process, et cetera.
Sure.
I mean, if there's any flexibility in the machine, I would use it and try and use the strategies you've outlined.
Even in the dollar amount, rather than putting down my base salary amount, if I put down an amount, the total dollar value of my compensation package, it could be that's fair.
Okay, and I hate to say it, we've run up against our time here. We had a couple questions left over. Moshe, is it okay if we work with you to maybe have you reach out directly to those folks?
Sure,
okay,
gladly.
We'll do that. After the event, just another quick note, as soon as we're done here, which will be in just a minute, you'll be prompted to take a short survey. We greatly appreciate your feedback. Plus, if you'd like to be connected with Moshe, you can do so with a click of a mouse, and we're happy to make that connection. If you have any questions about CPE credits, please contact Chris Brower. You can see her email address at the bottom there. This presentation is posted at performative.com/resources, so feel free to grab it there if you'd like. It's available for free, of course, like everything at Performative. Speaking of free, we have a wonderful conference coming up about all things finance tech. That is March 20th, 2013 at the Hyatt SFO, which is the San Francisco airport. Hyatt, it's going to be wonderful, dozens of technology providers and hundreds and hundreds of peers. So instead of going to 40 conferences, you can go to one and see a lot of different technology and learn a lot about how to drive tech within the finance, accounting, treasury, and related organizations. Please check that out. Performatech is what it's called. Register, earn through CPE, and learn great things. Other than that, wow, this is our last webinar before a lot of folks are taking the rest of the year off, and certainly before the new year. So thanks, Moshe, for giving us your wonderful insight and knowledge this morning. Great information and very well presented, as always, and we really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And, of course, thanks to everyone who joined us this morning. We wish you all a great end of the year, Happy New Year, and we hope to see you in the new year at performative.com or at another presentation, live or online. Take care, everyone.